Good morning. I'm Holly North, Wanja Yu, and welcome to Sunday Live Dharma. Today, our longtime friends and practitioners, Patty Daniel, Hua Tawanim, and Michael Macklin, Hyang Sanim, will share their reflections on great and small, being and non-being. If you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do so and click like to increase our online presence. Please feel free to share your greetings in our live chat now or at the end of today's Dharma Talk. Please no more than 3 or 4 entries per person so that we may maintain focused, mindful energy during our live streaming. Now, please stand up to begin our Qi Gong practice guided by Zoe.
Good morning. Let us start by shaking the tension out of our bodies, starting with our right leg, followed by our left leg. Now our right side, left side, front, back, and back to the center. Great. Now let's stretch our knees, putting our hands on our knees, making circles to the right. And then changing direction. Moving up toward our hips, putting our hands on our hips. Making a circle to the right. And then changing direction. Now let's stretch our wrists, moving them in one direction. And the other direction. Now, let's do some windmill arms. Raising them up, bringing them down, raising them up, down. Now let's change direction. Great, and now we'll do one big body stretch. Raise your hands above your head. Move your body to the right, to the center, to the left, to the center. We'll do that one more time. Right, center, left, center, and put your arms down, and we'll end with our neck. So making a circle with our neck in one direction, and then switching to the other direction. Wonderful. Thank you. Now, please join us for our 4 bows practice.
With gratitude, I bow to the grace of heaven and earth, honoring the infinite source of marvelous existence. With gratitude, I bow to the grace of parents, ancestors, and everyone who has given me life and nurtured me. With gratitude, I bow to the grace of fellow beings, embracing the truth of interconnectedness. With gratitude, I bow to the grace of laws, which guide us to develop justice and freedom through Dharma and universal principles. Meditation is simple and easy. Anyone can practice it. Take time to find your most comfortable position on the floor or in a chair. Wiggle to release any tension in your body, rock front to back or side to side. Breathe in, grab all your attention. Breathe out, release any mental or physical uneasiness. Relax your whole body. If your body agrees, gradually sit up taller. Gently straighten your spine. You may start to feel your lower back growing stronger and your chest and heart opening. Tuck your chin in slightly and let your shoulders melt away from your ears. Enjoy the sensation of your arms and hands relaxing. Invite your awareness to your lower abdomen, your Qi energy field. This is called the Danjan and is located about 2 inches below your navel. Your Danjan is the power center for your breathing. When thoughts arise in your mind, do not be disturbed by them. Do not react to your thoughts or play with them. Recognize that they are just thoughts. They will disappear by themselves. Continue to bring your awareness back to your Danjan abiding breath. When your mind is calm, concentrated, perfectly focused, and at peace, you will rest in the realm of samadhi, deep meditation. You will no longer feel any distinction between yourself and others, and find yourself free from the limits of time and place. May we be here now, deeply aware of our ever calm, ever alert spirit. 동일하신정 만사여의 하신정 천지와 동일체 아유 천지동신정 천지영기하신정 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 만사여의 하신정 천지와 동일체 아유 천지동신정.
Prayer for world peace. Grace of heaven
and earth,
grace of parents, grace of fellow beings, grace of laws. O Dharmakaya Buddha, fourfold grace, may we take refuge in Dharma and be filled with compassion and wisdom. May we transform delusion into wisdom, greed into generosity, resentment into gratitude, discord into harmony, and hatred into compassion. May all nations grow and benefit mutually. May the strong help the weak, and may the weak learn and evolve according to Dharma. May all those who have died from world conflicts and disasters be delivered through all obstacles and be at rest. May there be peace throughout the world, and may all beings enjoy tranquility and happiness, living in their original true nature. This we pray with our whole hearts.
Ilwansanga. Ilwan is the realm of samadhi beyond words and speech, the gateway of birth and death, transcending being and non-being, the origin of heaven and earth, parents, fellow beings, and laws, the true nature of all Buddhas, enlightened masters, unenlightened people, and sentient beings. Ilwan manifests as both permanence and impermanence, viewed as permanence. Ilwan unfolds into an infinite world that is ever abiding, spontaneous, just as it is viewed as impermanence. Ilwan unfolds into infinite worlds through the cycle of formation, duration, decay, and extinction of the universe, and the birth, aging, illness, and death
six realms of existence, progressing or regressing, with grace arising from harm or harm from grace. Therefore we unawakened beings vow to practice wholeheartedly, modeling ourselves after real ones on the Dharmakaya Buddha by cultivating our minds and bodies deeply, knowing human affairs and universal principles thoroughly, and using our minds and bodies skillfully, thus progressing rather than regressing, and receiving grace rather than harm, until we attain the great empowerment of Ilwan and become one with the nature of Ilwan.
Hi, as temple member. How have you been? I'm Shine. Do you remember me? I visited your temple last October. There are a lot of good memories there. Today, I would like to introduce the San Francisco Temple. If you visit San Francisco, you can come to the temple and meet me. Come and see me anytime. Bye bye.
Thank you, Reverend Shine. It's good to see you, and thank you again for introducing the San Francisco Temple. Recently, Venerable Juksan-nim, One Buddhism USA's head Dharma master, visited here and focused some of his reflections on the meaning of great and small, being and non-being. This morning, our longtime temple friends, Michael, Hyungsan-nim, and Patty, Hwatawa-nim are going to share their own thoughts and contemplations. Let us practice deep listening as we first welcome Michael.
Good morning. So I'm sharing a reflection of a reflection. So is it the moon or the moon reflected in the pond? You'll see what you think. So my reflections on the ideas of great and small, being and non-being. But I wanted to start with something that I heard Juksan-nim say, I don't know if it was that day or at another point, where he said, the path that we are following leads to what? You might say it leads to happiness or end of suffering or ending suffering for all sentient beings. But that wasn't what he was saying. Those are effects of what we're doing. Path leads to enlightenment or realization, but what's that? It's the truth. The truth. And, and what gets confusing is the truth of what? Because, isn't science looking for the truth? You might say it's looking for the truth objectively, third person, looking outside of us and seeing what we can see. Is that the truth that we're seeking, focusing on in Buddhism, in non-Buddhism? I think that's not the same truth. They're not necessarily contradictory, but they're a very different search. So the truth that we're searching for in Won Buddhism is the truth of the mind. What is the mind? Because for at least us human beings, everything that we experience goes through the mind. And so whether we feel happy or sad or peaceful or not peaceful, whether we're enlightened or not enlightened, it's in the mind. And I don't mean it's in our imaginations, it's in the mind. And so we have to find a way to focus inward. In some ways it's hard, in some ways it's easy, but we can't use the same methods we use to focus on a microscope on cells. We have to somehow use a microscope to focus inwards, and we're not used to doing that. We're taught our whole lives to focus outward, to focus on ourselves as the subject and the world as the object, and try and understand the object. But this time we're trying to turn it around. We're leaving the object out and focusing on our mind in some sense as if it's an object, but not really. That's where it's so complicated because we're not used to doing that. And so we're searching for this truth, we're looking inward, and we're always in a sense asking, what is this mind? What is this experiencing process? What's going on? How does it work? And we have to use a way of looking that isn't the same as objective looking outside of ourselves. And so when we say the mind, Ilwan, is beyond words and speech, it doesn't mean we can't talk about it. We can't describe it in a meaningful way that will be like fingers pointing at the moon, and that those fingers pointing at the moon won't be useful. In fact, so much of our teachings are fingers pointing at the moon, but the experience of the mind that we come to see as true won't be in concepts or words. It'll be outside of it. It'll be in some kind of direct experience. So what does that have to do with being and non-being and great and small? Well, the way my reflection on it is that these descriptions of the mind are trying to push us out of seeing things in the way we normally see things. So we have some descriptions of the mind. Ilwan is a description of the mind. Dharmakaya Buddha is a description of the mind. Buddha nature is a description of the mind. Ground of being is a description of the mind. And then we have, what are some of the ways we can observe the mind? What do we see when we look? Because we don't see Ilwan. I mean, we do, but that's, we don't see a circle when we look inside. The circle is a symbol. It's useful. So we can examine the mind in terms of great and small, being and non-being. And I think what the sages tell us, who have done that and deeply understood, is they're the same. Great and small, being and non-being are not different. They're all the same. And from an objective scientific point of view, that just throws us for a loop. And it's like, well, what do you mean they're the same? Aren't they obviously different? And yet that's the essence, in a sense, emptiness. They're the same. They're just different aspects of this emptiness that the mind as a container provides, and then you have these little blips in a way. Being, non-being, constantly changing, flowing, but the mind doesn't change. Great, the whole surface of the mind, great. Where does it start? Where does it stop? It's great. Small, things that show up on the surface. The thing is, they're not different than the whole surface. They're the same. Now, do you think I understand this? I wish I did, but I think that putting these things into words hopefully directs me, so that meditation practice isn't just quieting the mind. That's a kind of setting the stage for then observing the mind, seeing what's there, seeing how things come and go. Getting rid of thoughts is not observing the mind. Getting caught on thoughts is not observing the mind. Seeing that thoughts arise and pass is seeing the mind, seeing some part of the aspect of the mind. So I only had a short time today. I have a lot more I could say about this to confuse you even more. But I'll stop there, and thank you for this opportunity to share my reflections, and then I'll pass things on to Patty.
Thank you, Michael. Although it's really difficult to really talk about this topic, I think our effort to think about it, to contemplate these concepts is very important to our practice, because only through awakening and realizing what these concepts really mean, we can free ourselves from sufferings created by the mind. So although it's whatever we say about these concepts are only the finger pointing to the moon, but without that finger pointing to the moon, we can be totally lost, right? So thank you again for sharing that another finger pointing to the moon. So now our dear friend 화타원님, Patty Daniel, is going to share her thoughts on great and small. Let us welcome Patty.
Good morning. It's lovely to be here on this beautiful morning. When Reverend WontempleNC asked me to speak about my responses to Venerable Juksanim's talk when he was visiting with us last month, I really actually had a pretty good recollection of, sometimes Dharma Talks just go in one ear out the other, but I had a pretty good recollection of how I felt when I listened to him talk about these very important concepts. As you know, some of you, of course, probably didn't hear that Dharma talk, but he talked about great and small being and non-being. These are fundamental principles in Won Buddhism. Indeed, probably in all Buddhisms, and actually in all religions, but they just kind of go by a different name, I think. I thought Venerable Juksanim's talk was one of the clearest explanations of these principles that I had probably ever heard. So let me paraphrase him a little bit. He said, we are always in the realm of the great, but that the great is the non-physical realm that only our mind's eye, the eye of our bright and clear, undisturbed mind, only our mind's eye can gaze upon the realm of existence that is beyond words and speech. Our physical world, the phenomenal world of discriminate objects and things and beings, things we can see or touch or smell or taste or hear, that world is the small, and it is what we see with our physical eyes. Venerable Juksanim said, enlightenment is basically fully opening to the realm of the great. The great is the essence of everything. Indeed, it's the essence of our true nature. When I thought about that a little bit, I realized I'm inclined to think of the great as something good, and the small as something bad, or at least something unimportant and insignificant. This is likely due to the background hum of our predominantly Christian culture, where we somehow get the message that God is good, and we are all sinners or lesser beings in need of being saved. In Won Buddhism, this is definitely not the case. In Buddhism, the great and the small are connected inextricably, one to the other. Without the great, there is no small. Without the small, there is no great. In the, quote, small view of ordinary sentient beings, we are distinct, unique, and different from one another. In the great view, we are all one, anchored in oneness. We can see uniqueness. So what about being a non-being? The great is permanent, non-changing. The small is always changing. What is permanent? Our essence, our original true nature. Sensory conditions are small. They are always changing. Our original true nature is the great, our unchanging essence. It's sort of analogous to the concept of the soul in Christianity. I loved Venerable Juksanim's advice to deeply and consistently practice meditation in order to let go of thoughts, to deeply penetrate the clear and empty sky and let our pure consciousness fully connect with the essence of the sky. He almost made it sound easy. But though the clear and empty sky as a metaphor is lovely, it doesn't work for me. I have a hard time believing that there is a quote-unquote great. When I think of the sky, it's never clear or empty. It's filled with microplastics. And higher up, our low Earth orbit is filling up with space junk so fast that it threatens the very satellites our lives have come to depend upon. And even though I recognize that my attraction to existential angst is really pretty funny, I cannot shake it. Absolutely nothing seems permanent to me, precisely because I have never seen anything permanent. My mind's eye has abandoned me. The dramatic changes in our planet's climate and the fast pace of species extinction makes it all the harder to conceptualize permanence. Venerable Juksanim told us in his Dharma Talk to, quote, never forget that our existence is anchored on the great. Never forget that our existence is anchored on the great. I'm going to try to hold on to that advice. He said, when we are judging and discriminating, our mind is confined to our physical body, and we see only a partial view. He told us to go beyond thoughts to the fundamental essence of the world of oneness. And that is what I will try to do. Thank you.
Thank you again, Michael and Patty, for sharing your thoughts about this sometimes challenging topic. And friends at home, thank you for your practice and deep listening. You are welcome to share your thoughts or questions about today's topic in the live chat, or have a moment of silent reflection. Now, friends in the Dharma Hall, please turn to the person next to you and share your thoughts about today's topic.
Thank you all for joining us. We have two special events coming up. Okay. Oh, use this one. Okay. Thank you all for joining us. We have two special events coming up. Autumn Meditation Retreat at the Raleigh Center on the 23rd, and the Fall Fun Festival and Open House at the Chapel Hill Temple on the 30th. Please save the dates, and we hope to see you there. Now, let us bow to each other and wave to our friends in the virtual world. We look forward to practicing with you next week.
See you next Sunday. See you next Sunday.